Hello, everyone. As some of you probably know, I'm getting ready to launch a new project. I'm not quite ready to tell you what that project is, although a couple of you already know. Don't spoil it. But I wanted to do something really special because this project's going to be really special. So I'm going to be making a series of short videos about the series After the Cure. Hopefully, stuff that you already don't know, little bits and pieces that went into writing the story or about characters in the story, um, and will lead up to something new. Um, I'm very bad at this, as you can tell. So I will try to make these short and clear. I've made a what's called a junk journal. Um, as you can see, I'm not terribly artistic, but this is just a prop to tell you things that I wanted to tell you about the After the Cure series. I will try to let you know when there's spoilers, but just so you know, this will be about the entire first series, the After the Cure series, and there'll be a couple things about the Before the Cure series, but not a ton. And I will try to tell you every video, so in case you haven't gotten through the series, you won't be spoiled. You can skip that one. So today we're going to start with the cover, and I am going to talk about Crisis, a little bit of Pet Shop, the short story Pet Shop, a little bit of The Cured, and just a scene from The Infected. I think it was The Infected. Yeah, um, the second book in the second series. Just so if you haven't finished those, you might want to click off. I don't think there's nothing super spoilery in this one, but in case you want to be completely unspoiled, those are things we're going to talk about today. And yeah, we'll just go on with that. So when I created After the Cure, I wasn't thinking about like the very first book. I wasn't thinking about people actually restraining the infected very much because their contact was basically after the cure, after these people had woken up. The only time that they would need to be restrained would be before they were shot with cure dart and until they fell asleep. So it wasn't a big deal. But by the time I got to the cured with Henry surviving for quite a long time, being ill, and then again in Crisis when we had people in an asylum and then used as labor, things like that, I needed to figure out how you would restrain somebody without harming them and without allowing them to harm themselves. Because, for example, Ruth's son Charlie, or the girl that she um, kills in the beginning, are restrained for their own good as much as not harming their families. They chew their own fingers and hurt themselves. So you we they had to think up ways like the mittens, the gloves, the strapping, the straight jackets for the asylum, and famously the bungee cords and the shopping cart to transport somebody who is infected. Because it's one thing to tie them up in one area or confine them to a space. For example, in the short story Andy and Igor, the mom like isolates the dad in the garage and locks him in there, but doesn't restrain him in order to. Or in the asylum, Juliana restrains the infected with straitjackets, and they're just basically there the whole time. Same with Anne. But in order to move somebody, then you have to think about how do I get them from place to place. So that's why the bungee cord and the shopping cart, which I thought was kind of clever. Or the the horse harness in the police car in Crisis, with the infected pulling the police car, or in the infected in the second book of the second series, uh, you had a yoke with poles of people bound to it, so they would chase something in one direction but not be able to fight each other. So you're moving a mass group of people. Because remember, in this society, there's no more gas, so there's no more buses. You can't just pile people into a like a prison bus or anything and move them because there's no way to move them. Anyhow, so that's what the closure is for moving people around. And we'll do a little bit more. So on the side here, we've got Cure Dart fronds. So when I was looking up how you would tranquilize an animal, for example, and how long it took and things like that, which, by the way, I'm probably on several watch lists for my search history just for After the Cure alone. Um, the pictures of the tranquilizer darts had these fronds on them. They weren't red in the pictures that I saw. They were like green and yellow, I think, but I thought red would be more striking. Anyhow, and knowing that it took, 15 to 20 minutes to put down a large animal, you got to run for a long time, which I thought was pretty interesting. That's part of why, Nella has that conversation with Frank about you can't just shoot them and expect them to fall over and be safe. You have to, you know, run away for a while. So I think that would change how many risks that you took and how people would approach just administering the cure, let alone, dealing with infected, because it would change, how you existed in this world if you were trying to cure them, not just because of trying to cure them, but also, scavenging or finding a new place, knowing that they were human beings, that they could come back, that their brains were still there, and you had to outrun them basically for 15 to 20 minutes until they fell asleep, and then obviously take care of them until they woke up too. So that is a little hint about a story that's coming up. We'll get to that later. Finally, the symbol that are on all the books, it's not actually going to be on the new book, but on the existing books, the Asclepius with the biohazard sign was something that I drew for the very first book. When I made the very first covers, it's been there since then, that I really like. Obviously, I can't draw it very well on paper mache, but it is still there, and it's just something that stuck through. All right, so tomorrow we will talk about the next page. In the meantime, if you would like to ask me any questions you've always wanted to know about anything in the After the Cure series, leave it in the comments, message me, whatever you want to do. For people that haven't ever experienced this book before, just so you know, the very first book is completely free on every platform, and we're going to talk more about it. Okay, I will see you tomorrow, and I hope you enjoyed this, and tomorrow we'll talk about Kang Yao. Okay, bye!